If I look at the 2023 and the outlook, we definitely see increased activity from an M&A perspective. But it is very important for organizations to consider their readiness, both from operational and also from a market perception perspective. So that planning would be critical for the success of any IPO or M&A activity, be it restructuring of the business or just the market perception around the operations and activities in which or markets in which they operate. No, we definitely have seen an uptick. To your point, if you look at the number of interest rate increases that we've seen, although from an economic perspective, the market is doing extremely well within the UAE. From a cash flow perspective, there might be potential challenges, especially companies that's highly leveraged and has to carry that debt burden, and with the increased interest rates, obviously that increases. So we are supporting clients at either restructuring their portfolio, so looking at the nature of the funding that they have as an example, or where there is potential risks around them being able to continue to meet their obligations, to see how we can support them in that regard. So definitely we've seen an increase in that. It's an area that we've always operated in, but definitely increased activity over the last in recent months. If you consider the enactment of the law versus the effective date, it would only be effective largely for December 2024. So the first year assessment would be in 2025. So sufficient time has been provided for the implementation. We're definitely seeing significant interest from companies, especially in our environment where you operate across free zones and mainland, and your multinationals that also operate beyond the borders of the UAE, and where they have to accommodate multiple jurisdictions. If you consider the 9% proposed tax, it is one of the lowest internationally. But it's also providing transparency in the market and positions the UAE very well as a leading financial sector in providing that confidence in the market, because with corporate tax and tax environment, it does bring more transparency around financial disclosures, etc. If I look at it from a corporate tax perspective, a good process that's being followed. If I consider the legislation, it's looking at international leading practices. It's considering how it aligns to other regimes. And if you look at Pillar 1, Pillar 2 requirements for international organizations. So I think in that regard, it is well structured. Obviously, as it gets rolled out, there will always be questions around the details, but given the time frame that has been provided, it gives sufficient time to ready organization. And I think from a readiness perspective, there's two elements that you have to look at. The one is looking at just from a structural perspective, where the organization is ready for tax, but also from a skill perspective. We see a significant uptick where companies where under VAT, the tax function was generally still very much part of the finance function. Now, independent tax functions are being established. So from a professional services perspective, it's an area that we see growth in our tax business, but also our advisory business in order to support our clients from that structural perspective, as I just mentioned, and also on the audit side, because with the legislation that's now been enacted, companies need to start looking from a deferred tax perspective what the potential implications could be. So from a Saudi perspective, we've definitely seen, as they've made their environment more attractive for companies to enter the Saudi, there has definitely been interest, and companies have set up operations there. However, we've also, over a number of years, as the UAE and the broader region has diversified their economies, has seen more attractive incentives for companies to set up business in the UAE, and in particular through the pandemic with improved visa and more flexible visa requirements, ease of setting up a business, and also looking at ownership structures that has become more flexible in the UAE. We have seen significant increase in the UAE as the regional hub as well. So from our perspective, as I say, in looking at our market in the UAE, we see significant growth, as do our colleagues in Saudi. So I think, given the economic environment in the Middle East, and especially with strong oil prices, we see significant growth to the benefit of all. So in looking at the firm where we currently stand, we're very proud of the growth that we've been able to achieve over in recent years. We've doubled in size over the last 5 years. And we see, with the buoyancy in the economy, that that growth trajectory will continue. As far as our strategy is concerned, as a global firm, we look at KPMG global strategy and align what we do locally to that. And also, considering our local market, there are definitely areas that we will continue to focus on, but also where we see differential investment is in technology on the one hand, especially in the UAE, where the government in the UAE is very technology driven as far as decisions are taken. Also, ESG. We have COP28 at the end of the year. We have the year of sustainability. There's definitely a keen interest on that within the market, but also an area that we significantly investing in as a business. So as far as the business that we run, definitely continuing on the trajectory that we have, but also focusing on these areas where we see a differential growth. We're currently busy with a strategy refresh, just to also assess where we've been, because on the one hand, you want to continue growth, but at the same time, we want to ensure that that growth is sustainable. So we're currently in the process of refreshing our strategy just to ensure that we maintain that.